What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Haze Demon Show. And today we are going to be going over the tier list video for legendary cards in the South Park Phone Destroyer mobile game. Oh yeah. So there is a total of 18 legendary cards currently in the game. We're gonna go through every single one of them and name them from the worst one to the best one. So keep in mind, I am going to be grading these cards based on them being level 6, which is probably a level that the majority of us will never even see on the battlefield, let alone own ourselves. However, there is a few, the proud and the silly, who have spent a lot of money to get level 6, level 7 cards at that. We're going to be talking about level 6 cards here. Also, another thing to keep in mind is I have played this game for over 2 years, with the majority of that time being in the top 200 in the world. I've played every single theme so many more times than you can imagine. Not all my cards are competitive level at my rank, but I have had experience with all the cards in the game. So, with keeping that in mind, and again, like I said, we're talking about level 6s, we're talking about how good the card can be. It is the maximum value that you're going to get out of these cards here. Alrighty, anything else? Make sure to check out my other tier list videos. I have the epics, the rares, the commons. I have the top tier list for adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, mystical themes. So make sure to check out any and all of them, and it'll give you some good information if you are new to the game. If not, you're here to hang out and have a good time and find out what my opinion is of the legendary cards. Alrighty, I think we are ready to go. So let's go ahead and jump into our first card. It is going to be Cowgirl as our number 18 card. She is a 6-cost ranged unit for the superhero theme with 760 health and 103 attack with a 3.5 range. War Cry summons a superhero ally from your hand. This card is easily the worst legendary in the game, hands down, due to some certain recent buffs to other cards preventing her from being not at the bottom. She summons another superhero card. It is random. The majority of cards in superhero theme are not high cost, so until there's a high cost unit, like a higher than 5 cost, she's not really worth using. Her attack is really fast. That's the best thing about her. Attack is really fast. She can attack probably twice in the time that Medusa Baby attacks, which would mean she would have technically more attack than Medusa Baby, but not very good. And her health is also way lower than Medusa Baby's, but she's bringing another unit onto the field. That's why she has lower attack and health, but it just means that she's, as a base unit herself, not very good. Let's move on to card number 17. It's gonna be Manbearpig with a 7-cost tank unit with 4,562 health, attack of 4,562. Oh my goodness, this guy has so much attack. I can't believe I screwed that up. I'm sure I'll fix that in post if I can remember. I'm pretty sure I should. Anyway, 233 attack, not 4,562. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so this card has a ton of health. However, there is too many counters to this card. Cock Magic, Leanne, Unholy Combustion, Transmogrification, Dragon Slayer Red. You name it, it's out there. There's a lot of counters to this card. So even though it has a humongous amount of health and a really good amount of attack, it cannot stand toe-to-toe versus a low-cost spam deck. Even if you happen to did have a level 6 Manbearpig and Poke Timmy him back You would have to Pope Timmy him back in order to get the value out of this card. There's too many cards that would counter it. The 4,500 health is the biggest thing that really helps this card being really tanky, because it gives you time, even though you put 7 energy into it, as long as it doesn't instantly get removed from the field, you can get that value out of this unit from its health, because it gives you time to build up the energy to protect him. And that's kind of the main thing. However, again, there's just too many counters that it's hard to protect him without over-investing when you already over-invested into him. So, very difficult card indeed to be able to play good. And I feel like it would be hard to balance him. If maybe they just made it to where he was immune to spells, he could probably be a lot better card without being too OP, but we'll see about that if that was the case. But anyway, we're going to move on to card number 16. Hopefully I can keep track of this. It's going to be 6th Element Wendy with 1900 health and 326 attack. He is a 5-cost fighter unit with a 0.8 range, and he has the ability, charged ability to puke and summon a robot vacuum, aka a Roomba. He has a decent amount of health, but that's because he's at level 6. Anything lower than that, then this card does not really have the health to be worth 5 energy, in my opinion. It might as well be a 5-cost assassin unit, because he's doing 326 damage. However, he does spawn a unit. The units are actually pretty tanky, so that does kind of beef him up, sort of. I just find that this card is not a very good investment during a match, unless certain circumstances have already taken place. He just doesn't, he needs more health. Probably, like, you know, he just needs more health. The attack is perfectly fine, but he's not a tank, that's why he doesn't have more health. He needs to be used very carefully. He can be used more defensively, and that could be where he would do better, but he needs to be the target, not being targeted. He needs to be used like an assassin to just kick and do all of his damage. He walks slow, and he has the summons to keep him being slower, to make him slower, so those are good things. But I just feel like he's an overcommitment of energy. He can do okay sometimes, but you really have to have an over-leveled 6th Element Randy for him to be good, in my opinion. Otherwise, he's just really not worth it. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next card. It's going to be card number 15. Grand Wizard Cartman. The 6-cost tank unit with 3,899 health. And that's a lot. And 126 attack. He has a range of 1 ability, or a power range. A really big power range. It doesn't even say it, actually. I don't think it said it. I'm not sure. Anyways, a damage of 240, which you can do this damage directly to the new kid. That's the best part about it. But if you're running Grand Wizard Cartman, you guarantee you better be running some other unit that is gonna get spell casted on. You know, like Unholy Combustion, Transmogrification onto Mecca Timmy, or Stand of Many Moons. You want to make sure there's another target that can take the hit, so you can use Grand Wizard Cartman. He charge blazes blast nearby enemies with a super sweet magic dealing 240 damage and stunning them for 1.5 seconds. I'm not sure if it said it on the card part, but it says it on the card art or whatever, not in the information. So the stun is actually really good. Sometimes the knockback, because there's a knockback on it, doesn't say that. The knockback can be bad, because you can knock back your opponent's ranged units, basically resetting them. So even though he's got advantages in doing damage, he has a disadvantage in knocking them back, not just stunning them, which gives an advantage to your opponent to bring the fight to their side of the field. So pro and con there. Biggest problem is that he's 6 cost. If he was 5 cost, he would easily jump a lot higher up on the list. But being 6 cost, he really depends on Pope Timmy or another unit getting killed with the spell card or whatever. Otherwise, you're going to get a negative energy trade right off the bat against him. That's his biggest fault, is being a level 6. Now, he does come with a very large amount of health, and if he comes back again from Pope Timmy, then he can do very good. But he is just, again, it's the same thing as 6th Element Randy, and basically Manbearpig as well. They just are too much of an investment into energy when there's too many ways to counter a high cost investment. The more energy you invest, the easier it is for your opponent to gain an energy advantage, because you put so much energy onto the field, etc, 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 right? So better to stay lower cost, higher efficiency and whatnot. And he just doesn't fit the cake, fit the bill. Maybe at the beginning, whenever legendaries first got buffed, he was better, but debatable. We're going to be going on to card number 14. I hope I'm on the right number here. Oh my goodness. It's going to be Inuit Kenny, the 3-cost assassin for the adventure theme. 331 attack health and 352 attack. He has more attack than he does have health. Don't know why, really. They nerfed him when they buffed him. He was a 4-cost unit. They nerfed his health and his attack. No reason whatsoever. They should not have done that. You would think he would be higher on the list, because it's almost like always people are going to play 4-cost units or higher, and Inuit Kenny just dies to that unit and you gain energy advantage immediately. He's an extremely defensive card, so if you were using for an assassin, that's really not the way that you want to use him. But at 3 cost, it does kind of allow you to use him as only an assassin and not for his Death Wish. But his primary focus is being a Death Wish user. Kill the enemy that killed you. So it's an Unholy Combustion, but a ticking time bomb version or whatever. The problem is too many counters. Cuck Magic, Unholy Combustion. Just kidding about those. I mean Cuck Magic specifically. If there's more than one unit on the field, Inuit Kenny would just poof with them, right? But another one is Medusa Baby. Medusa Baby is a very common ranged unit for people to use. And she negates negates Death Wishes. So she would just kill it and get rid of it. And then Cuck Magic, Leanne also, and any assassin can negate his Death Wish, and what I mean is the assassin hits him and they die instead of the big unit, right? So there's an Aerostorm or whatever, Poison even. Poison might not be a great idea because it's a little bit slower to kill him. There's just too many counters. You can use him pretty good. You can find ways to make him work, but he will end up just sitting in your hand more often than not, I feel like. But they did increase his, because of the buff, made him from being the worst card. He was going to be the worst card too, being number 14. Thankfully I can remember the number so we can keep on going. I should have the list right here beside me, but the way I'm recording here, I can't do that. Anyway, getting distracted. We are going on to number 13, and that's gonna be Witch Doctor Token. Some of you are like, oh, you gasp! We thought this would be higher in there. And you're probably right, he probably should be higher in there. However, the other cards that he has to deal with in the options are just not as, they're just a lot better. Witch Doctor Tokens, 4 cost, a fighter unit with 1335 health, with an attack of 233, and a vamp damage of 668, which is half of his health. It's the charge drains health from nearby enemies. The damage is half max health. Again, why is this card lower on the list when it should be higher? Because there's too many counters. There's always too many counters for all these cards, but in particular with him, if you have a way to prevent him from healing, then he is an over-costed fighter unit that can't do enough. There is a lot of health and attack. He is a level 6 in this picture. It looks really good, but he can die really quickly He does, however, I mean, let's talk about the great things about him. He does, however, have a really good ability, a standalone ability. You can put him completely out of the fight and have him riding on his side and potentially be able to carry the game all by himself just because your opponent has no way to deal with him healing himself. However, it takes a while to heal. The healing range isn't like extremely large, so you can defeat him from a distance. There's like ways to work around him. You know, and there's units that can't even be drained of health. If you're shielded, he can drain your health, but you don't lose any life. So he is a bit of an overcommitment and power bind as well. He's not a complete overcommitment. He's more the 4 cost definitely helps out a lot. If he was 5 costs, he'd be overcommitment for sure. But all the other legendaries on this list just get better and better and better. We gotta keep on going. Let's continue on. Card number 12, I believe. Make sure that you're paying attention to the numbers on the picture or on the video and not necessarily what I'm saying, but I'm pretty sure we're going to number 13. But I'll post after. I don't know why I have to tell you guys this, but I'll post it after. Not post it. I'll fix it after to make sure the numbers are correct 100%. Going to number 13. I know I'm tripping, guys. I know I'm tripping. Scorcher Stewart, a brand new legendary for the sci-fi theme. The 4 cost fighter unit. Scorcher Stewart, 1601 health, 197 attack. His range is 0.7. His power duration is 3.5. His war cry is stun enemies in front of him for 3.5 seconds and increases his speed every time he attacks. This card is absolutely destructive. Absolutely destructive. It has, like, compared to Witch Doctor Token, it has 300 more health. It stuns the units because it's a big cone in front of him, like Shield or Dragon Slayer Red, but a little longer, I think, and thinner. But it stuns him for so long. He has the power to combo with other stun cards. He has the power to combo with other units that beef up his attack, because every hit that he makes, he is going to be faster, right? So it only takes like 3 hits, 4 hits, not even that, and he's already hitting really quickly. He also runs really quickly, so if he's locked onto the new kid and he's on full health, before an enemy can take him down, he's going to take 2 bars. He's extremely powerful and a ton of combo potential. Very, very good card. Doesn't make it high on the list because there's still better cards coming up, bubba. If he actually did damage and not just stunning, he would definitely have been one of the best cards in the game. Easily, without a doubt. But no damage on his stun means that your opponent still has a chance to play the game. So it kind of makes him a little more balanced on that particular thing. But definitely very good on boosting his speed up. Alrighty, for the next card, number 12. It's gonna be Medusa Baby. Okay, actually number 11. Witch Doctor Token was number 12. Scorcher Stewart was number 13. I had to make sure we were on track here. So this is number 11. Let me not get confused. It is a 4 cost ranged unit. Medusa Baby with 1329 health and 197 attack with 4.1 range, and summons a snake on kill. When Medusa Baby kills an enemy, turn that enemy into a snake that belongs to you. She negates death wishes. Mysterion, Inuit Kenny, almost all of the assassins have a death wish, and they change the way the game is happening, and that right there is her big advantage. However, she's a tank. She's a ranged unit that is absolutely a tank unit. She can take so many hits. If she's locked onto the new kid and somebody starts attacking her, the amount of health that she has is enough for you to protect her and still continue to do damage on the new kid. And she's outside of the range of the zapper. And then, not only that, whenever the snakes can also act as a defense for Medusa Baby. She's turning units into snakes, which means that the enemy units are going to target the snakes instead of targeting her or any other units. And then she also has the snakes do poison damage. So even if they do just a little bit of damage, which at level 6 they're going to do a lot of damage as snakes. They're going to do a lot of damage, and they're going to have a decent amount of health. I wish I could bring up the snake now that I think about it. And I have had my units die. Like, there's no snakes around them. They have not been hit by a snake in a long time. But the poison is so small, but it constantly keeps doing it. I think it's infinite. I don't actually know for sure, but I think the poison from the snakes is infinite. So a unit will die from these snakes no matter what. If it gets hit one time, it's extremely powerful. She just destroys people's strategies by being tanky and getting rid of their death wishes. And again, like you're facing somebody that's using swarm units, you're just turning them into chickens or snakes, not chickens. All right, but she's just very good, very reliable ranged unit. The only downfall to Medusa Baby would be her attack is slower than other ranged units, but she makes up for it by having a decent amount of attack and ability to save herself with health and whatnot. Very good card. We're going to be going to number 10, and that's going to be Mecca Timmy, the 4-cost ranged unit for sci-fi. The other one was mystical if you didn't know. Sci-fi here with 949 health, 195 attack. It has a range of 5, almost one whole more range than Medusa Baby. With a power range of 7, it used to have his ability would hit the entire field of anybody. And at level 6, his duration of mind control is 4.5 seconds. That is about half as long as using the actual mind control spell. So leveling up Mecca Timmy really makes a big difference because of his mind control duration raises as he levels up. His health is not very high, which allows him to be taken down by lightning bolt, Dwarf King Clyde, etc. Although a level 6 Mecca Timmy would be hard to kill with a level 6 Dwarf King Clyde. But level 4 can be taken down with the hit and the extra attack. But anyway, the lightning bolt at level 6 and 7, I think, kills Mecca Timmy at level 4, which is kind of why he doesn't end up higher on the list. But the mind control really forces your opponent to play different ways, or forces them to not even be able to play a card because your unit's running over there. They want to play defense. You mind control it. Now they've got the unit and their unit attacking at the same time. So it's just a lot of pressure that you can put on your opponent. The only downside is where they made him have a range on his mind control, and it makes it to where you can't predict when somebody's going to do something. So you could use the ability and hit nobody, or you could use the ability and hit somebody as soon as they spawned. Now you have to wait till there's somebody in the unit in his range of ability, and then use his ability to target them. So they did slow down his effectiveness, which neutered him a lot at the time. However, he's still a really, really good card. He moves really slow, and he is so good that people will target him down with Unholy Combustion or Transmogrification, which means that you're getting a +1 energy trade off of that. So I just think he's better. That mind control makes a big difference to Medusa Baby. They're really close to each other, and a lot of people may even say Medusa Baby is better just because she has more health, and that makes sense. But the mind control really puts pressure on your opponent. Alrighty, so we are ready to go to card number 9, and what is it going to be? Mysterion Rises, the 5-cost assassin with 368 health, 390 attack. This card, Death Wish, revives himself. Sometimes there's some weird things that happen with this card, but first let's say they had somewhat ago they buffed Mysterion so that he would respawn faster, right? He has a little orb that floats in the air. They made it to where he respawns faster, and that fixed his problem of being an inefficient card because he just wasn't coming into the battle fast enough. Basically, this card is a huge energy value gaining thing because you use it right at the beginning of the match, 5 energy. You're down energy. Your opponent's going to easily be able to kill him, usually. A higher level 1 is going to be more tricky, right? He attacks really quickly. Anyway, what it does is he dies, and then he'll spawn on the field eventually onto your side. But what it does is it brings your opponent's fight, their units and everything, over to your side, so you have the fight advantage on your side. And then, after Mysterion happens to spawn 2 or 3 times, let's say, on the 3rd, 4th, maybe even the 5th time, he respawns, and it's been after a fight has reset, right? You both have tried to attack each other, now you're just sitting at 5 energy or whatever, and nobody wants to play a card, but Mysterion spawns. He runs across the field. As soon as your opponent has to spawn a unit, you have instantly gained an energy advantage, because after that 3 or 4 times Mysterion spawning, he's spawning for free energy basically, and your opponent is having to play anything. Even a 2-cost unit, you know, means that you're 2 energy ahead of your opponent constantly. Now the reason why he's not higher on the list is the counters: Cock Magic, Transmogrification, not Unholy Combustion. Don't do that. Transmogrification counters Death Wishes. Cock Magic turns them into chickens, countering it. Leanne, and the main one being Medusa Baby. Medusa Baby being an extremely common ranged unit means that Mysterion is always going to have that chance that he turns into a snake and you waste all of your energy. So he can do very good and he can gain a ton of energy advantage, but he's not universally going to be able to win every match because there's counters. You might play him one time and poof, he's turned into a snake or chicken or rat, and now you've lost that energy. Although if he turns into a rat, Transmogrification, your opponent probably played incorrectly. So that would be a good thing. But, alright, that's number 9. We are going to go on to number 8. It's going to be Mintberry Crunch, the 4-cost ranged unit with a health of 666, attack of 119, his range 3.5, and his damage from his ability 400. Wait, okay, let's read it. It says flying. It's a unit that flies. War Cry. Enable or nearby allies get 199 max HP for 15 seconds. Charged, deals 440 damage in a line to the furthest unit. So, first off, the only reason why this card doesn't make it higher on the list is because it doesn't have enough attack and health. Luckily, it does not, because it would be very overpowered. This card, the longer it sits on the field, is constantly going to generate value because of its ability. Most of fights in South Park Phone Destroyer are won based on who has ranged units left alive after a fight. This character card literally targets the farthest unit away from him, which usually is ranged units. It can literally one-shot visitors, a Blood Elf Baby at level 6 if she has not been boosted up from her ability. And you can continue to keep using your ability every how long it takes. I don't know how, it doesn't tell you how long it takes to charge abilities for some reason on this. Or attack speeds or anything like that. So if he had more health and attack, this guy would be like a #1 card in the game. But because he's so low, It's kind of harder to get him to... You can counter him more easily. However, again, he's still getting value. If this unit is sitting in the back of your opponent's field, if they're playing it correctly and sitting him as far back as possible, he is going to generate value constantly, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Your units are literally just going to get melted away. His Warcry ability, I feel, is kind of a little bit of a bait, because it makes you want to play him more forward, so that way you can use him on like swarm units to boost up their attack, or assassins. He can boost up those units, which is probably the best units for him to boost up. If you're using a Warcry on a ranged unit, they may never even get hit during that 15 seconds, so it's wasted. But his Warcry, you can completely ignore it and use this character only for his ranged ability, or his ability, and you're gonna win games. He just has so much power in him. But it's so weird how he has such low health at level 6, being 666 pickup sticks. Yeah, that's definitely going to be his biggest downfall, is his attack and health being lower. But he makes up for it 100% in his damage ability. Max HP is just an extra thing. Alrighty, we're going to move on to number 7. That's right, because we did 10, 9, 7. It's going to be Shieldmaiden Windy. Now, some people would say she should have been higher on the list, but she's got a lot to compete with here. She's an extremely good card. 3-cost fighter with 1,096 health, 231 attack, with a power duration of 4.46 seconds. This is her true power, being a really low-cost unit with a good amount of health and attack, but being able to live longer than she ever should normally. Power duration of 4.46 is extremely a long time. It's almost so long that it takes about 2 seconds after for her to get her ability again. I don't know how long it takes for her to get her ability, I'm not sure, but literally you use her ability and she'll almost have it back immediately. So it's really difficult to kill her and finish her. She usually will end up making you trade unevenly. You'll have to play 4 or 5 energy to defeat her before she can use her shield. Otherwise, she's going to make you use 4 or 5 energy while she's sitting there shielding it up the whole time. So, and she has combos with other shield characters. She can defend herself from, you know, defensive units except for DSR. So she just has extremely value. And then being a 3-cost unit makes her rotatable. You can play her constantly and over again to try to get value out of her. So extremely good. Again, reason why she doesn't make it higher is because she doesn't have an ability to hit multiple units. Although Mintberry did, but he doesn't have a lot of health and attack. Survivability is what I should say specifically. She has the survivability. She can finish units off. She also has a really fast first hit. So if she comes up to an assassin, she's going to hit them before they hit her. And usually, though, I mean, in most cases, they'll be one shot near the zapper, the new kid. So she'll usually one shot and kill him. So she has a really fast first hit. She attacks quickly. She shields often. She's just an absolute beast. But we are going to move on. We have our number 6. Did I say it? 10 Mecha, 9 Mysterion, 7 Mintberry, right, 6. Alright, number 5 is going to be Mr. Hankey. I was very tempted to put him higher on the list. He is a 3-cost assassin, 379 health, 377 attack, with a with a power duration of 20 seconds. A Warcry, double the charge rate on all allies for 20 seconds. The more charge units on the field, the more value you're getting out of the Mr. Hankey. However, his main purpose is definitely going to be Stand of Many Moons, Marcus, and you could also say Shieldmaiden Windy. But every single charge unit in the game can benefit from being able to use their ability at least a second time when they're alive. Because most of the time charged units can only get to use their ability one time. They have to make it count. But Mr. Hankey means that you can use it right away, and you should hopefully be able to get it again. With him being at level 6, he is an absolute monster. He attacks extremely quickly. He will pretty much tear up anybody that's not a legendary card or a tank. So if you're not a legendary card or a tank, he's gonna kill you. The rares, commons, epics, it's debatable epic takes. We just said tanks, right? Yep. So he becomes, instead of an assassin, he becomes more like a fighter assassin. He becomes more like 6 Element Randy's kind of assassin, because he has so much health. He's so beefy, and guarantee you, if your opponent doesn't defend properly, their new kid cannot get rid of this thing before he takes a bar. At level 25, it's only going to take 2, maybe 3 hits from Mr. Hankey to take a full bar. So you can't even let him hit one time, and he attacks really quickly. He has a really fast, not really an extremely fast first hit. He has a good first hit, but not as fast as some other units' first hits. But he has really fast, repeated attacks. So, extremely high DPS in this card, for sure. I don't like using him because of 2 reasons. I don't really like using him because he's a 3 cost, but he definitely makes up for that. And also because if you have charged units on the field, when you put him on the field, he has to use his war cry, which takes a couple seconds. No, not a second. It takes like a second, right? Which delays his time to do his DPS. So, originally, before they buffed him up, he was only a spell card. And if you use him only as a spell card, then he'll work fine. But if you're trying to use him as an assassin, that war cry slows him down and potentially could get him killed before he can even use or be able to even attack, I mean to say. So, a little risky there, but overall, an extremely vital card to any deck in the game. I just don't like using him because he's 3 cost. But other people can easily find this card very useful. Very, very. Actually, if you have a way to speed boost him up like Warboy on a Mr. Hankey, he will eat people alive. They will have no chance. He will eat them alive and shred them. Alrighty, so we've got card number 4 coming at you. It's gonna be Master Ninja. He is a 4 cost ranged unit with 1062 health with 121 attack. He will boost the attack of others for 120. This is a huge increase in damage, especially for ranged units. For all units, for swarm units, he can boost. The more units you're hitting on the field, the more value you're instantly getting with this card. It can literally win games instantly. It can also be a little bit of an over commitment in some cases. So in a way, what you want to do with Master Ninja is not necessarily use him right at the beginning unless you see some sort of advantage, but to wait till near the end of a fight and then all in with his ability, because you'll have all these units on the field or what have you. So his ability to change the battlefield immediately is very obvious. He also happens to have a ton of health, about 100 more than Mecca Timmy and 300 less than Medusa Baby. He also has a pretty good amount of attack. He attacks pretty fast as well with a good range. So he's got good stats, he's got good range, and he makes it to where other cards are extremely oppressive. Mainly ranged units. Ranged units benefit the most from Master Ninja. Visitors, Pope Timmy, yada 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 yada. So there's a lot of value. His only downfall, I feel like, is that he's not a card you can constantly play in the match. It depends on the match. It depends on your deck, of course. But I feel like if you're trying to figure out what you want to lay on the field, like, you're more likely to drop a Mecca Timmy or a Medusa Baby as your safe, quote unquote, your safe ranged unit, because you don't want to overcommit. you don't, for him, you can't just put Master Ninja on the field by himself, and you can with Mecca Timmy, and you can with Medusa Baby, but you can't with Master Ninja. You have to wait to get some value out of him, otherwise it's wasted, right? And you don't want to boost only one unit with him either. You can, but it's extremely risky. Again, it's better. That's why other ranged units are better for rotation. So he's less consistently going to work good, but what he does well. He's more of like a spell card, but the fact that he can die and be reborn into your deck or whatever, like you could put him in front of all your other units, let him die first, and then you could rotate into him and use him for a second time and to boost up their attack. And that's whenever you know you've already won the game. If you can use him a second time and boost up a ranged unit, your opponent's not really going to have a way to win. You may have already won the game before then, but yes, that is where he is. That's what he is. That's what he is, brother. So, our number 3 top card is gonna be Stand of Many Moons, a 4-cost fighter unit with 1030 health with 230 attack. His charged ability is that he casts a fiery blast that deals 800 damage to all units in the game. This card literally destroys worlds. At level 6, he only dies to the level 7 lightning bolt. Level 6 does not do enough damage. You have to use Unholy Combustion or Transmogrification, Cock Magic, yada yada. And if you try to fight him with regular units, your units will die before he'll get his charged up ability, and now you're gonna have to defend against something that can do 800 damage. They can sit on it. And it has so many different combos to go with this card, which is Mr. Hankey to let him do his burst damage quicker and more often. With Santa Claus, he can use his ability as soon as he hits the field, and then again within the time that he would normally be charging it up. Now, of course, Santa Claus is kind of more telegraphed. People will see that kind of coming, but then you Pope Timmy, or you youth Pastor Craig. There's so many different things that boost and benefit this card. He's already only a 4-cost unit, so if they're using 5 energy to get rid of him and you Pope Timmy back, you're in the advantage for a long way to come. And you can slow him down by putting units in his way when he's trying to walk so that he stays on your side of the field. You would have to watch out for people using Power Bind also, but you can Purify. If you're running Stand of Many Moons, Purification is a really good choice because Mind Control does seem to happen a lot to him. I've used it on him, etc. And people will sit there with Purify right on top of him. So if they Mind Control, they have to do it as he's doing his animation. Otherwise, Purification will fix it immediately and not cause it to hit the other opponent. It can be a little bit tricky. There is a very fine line between being able to Purify in time and wasting the Purify, and you still get hit by the unit, by the blast. But either way, this card is just absolutely oppressive. You don't think it's that big of a deal until you have no way to answer it because of cycling. You start the game off and you just don't have the cards in your hand to get rid of him. And if you had to play cards on the field to rotate to get to the right card, you've already given your opponent your investment of energy that he can take the fight to their side of the field and then build up a push and win the game. So he causes so many problems, and he has so many benefits, and he has so many combos to go with him that puts him at number 3 in the game. If you don't have the answer, you automatically lose the game, and that is based on luck and card rotation. So, a very strong card, 100%. Alrighty, and I'm sure you guys can guess Our number 2 and number 3, it's gonna be, not number 3, number 1. Number 2 is gonna be Dragon Slayer Red with a 4 cost fighter. She has 1185 health with 233 attack. Her war cry is having the health and max health of enemies in front, then half their attack for 10 seconds. This card is a monster. At 4 cost, it makes it extremely valuable. Now I just realized I've been doing the numbers wrong. This is number 4. I thought I fixed it. No, there's still 2 more cards I have above her. This is the 3rd one. Freaking, I can't, I wish I just had the list right next to me. I promise you guys, the numbers are going to be on the screen, so my trolley butt will be corrected every single time in this video that I said it wrong. The number 3 card in the game is Dragon Slayer Red. So, her health is really good, her attack is really good, and at level 1, she can still have the same power of ability. Having attack, health, it's just very strong. The only reason why she's not higher on the list is because she can't kill units. So just because you nerf opponents' units with attack and health, they're gonna get their attack back, and potentially they can protect their units and they'll be able to do damage without taking any hits, so their health doesn't even matter. But being 4 cost means that you can use her more often in less favorable positions, like using it to attack units that don't even need to have their health decreased. But removing their attack is what really, well, all of it together of course, but removing their attack allows her to stay alive longer and tank like damage against assassins or whatever, you know. But her biggest thing is that her ability is to counter anybody trying to invest heavily into tank units. As soon as you got tank units on the field, boom, here comes Dragon Slayer Red. She's gonna knock those units in half. She is literally the bane of all tank units. If it wasn't, well, besides Cock Magic too, if it wasn't for her, literally because of her, tank units are not favorable in this meta. 100%. She changes that completely. She would have to decrease their health and max health by 1/3 instead of 1/2 in order for those tank units to come back into a viable meta. She literally ruins the meta of tank units. I think ever since she came out, that's what the meta changed slowly but surely into swarm units, because you can't overinvest or you get Dragon Slayer Red or Cock Magic, which are both fantasy units. Alrighty. What are her downsides? There are literally no downsides to this card whatsoever. The only counter, there's 2 counters. There's only 2 counters to this card in the game. One of them is Unholy Combustion, meaning you have to have the energy and know your opponent is going to play Dragon Slayer Red. And it's really easy for, if your opponent knows you're going to do this in the same match, they can put down a different unit. You Unholy Combusted the wrong unit, and now they're going to Dragon Slayer Red you, and you're going to lose, because that's basically a wasted energy. But Dragon Slayer, the Unholy Combustion, to hit her as soon as she spawns, is her number 1 hard counter. And there's only one theme that can do that, and not everybody can do that. Alright? The other counter is Dragon Slayer Red. Literally, herself is the counter to herself. As soon as you see somebody Dragon Slayer Red, guess what? You Dragon Slayer Red also. So that way, your units and their units have half health and half attack. But guess what? Whoever Dragon Slayer Red's second wins the fight, because the other person's Dragon Slayer Red just got cut in half, but your Dragon Slayer Red has full health and attack, right? So it's whoever Dragon Slayer Red's second wins, or whoever Unholy Combust the Dragon Slayer Red also. And that's the only 2 cards. Now technically, other defensive units can counter her also. Alien Queen Red, Rogue Token, Satan. But those are not direct counter. Those are counters that you counter pushes, right? That's not the same thing. So that's not a direct counter. Alright, so that's our number 3. I've got the numbers right now for sure. I am positive of the numbers now, without a shadow of doubt. So now I can say that you guys got to know the top 2. So the top 3 should have probably known. Number 2, the real number 2 this time, because I'm not trolling. It's going to be Incan Craig, the 5-cost ranged unit with 1330 health, with 122 attack. His war cry, shoot a laser beam towards enemy leader, dealing 128 damage, and damaging all enemies in the way for 640 damage. This card would easily have been number 1 had it not been nerfed sometime last year. They nerfed the width of the beam, and they nerfed the damage to the new kid. I don't think that they nerfed the damage to units, but I'm not positive. However, this card has extreme value in that no matter what, when it spawns on the field, it is automatically doing 128 damage to the opponent's new kid. Even if it hits nobody on the field, it's doing direct damage to the new kid, which cannot be countered at all unless you can Unholy Combust them. However, unlike Dragon Slayer Red, Incan Craig can be placed anywhere on the field and do his damage. So if he doesn't have to hit units and he only has to hit the new kid, you have no idea where your opponent is going to spawn the unit. Now, it's not that hard to move across the screen to hit somewhere differently, but it'll still not let you, plus you can spawn different units and whatever. So the unpredictability of Incan Craig, but at the same time you can kind of predict his attack because they're going to generally use it if your units are lined up. So if you spread your units, you can avoid Incan Craig, but he still can get value because he's a really tanky unit with good health. He's a really tanky ranged unit, I mean to say, with good health and good attack. So even if he only kills 1 unit when he does his ability, let's say a 2-cost unit, let's pretend like that imaginarily turns him to a 3-cost unit. Let's pretend all of a sudden that 3-cost unit is walking across the field that somebody has to use a 3-cost unit to defeat, which means that you're doing an even trade, but even if you do an even trade, they already still hit your new kid. That's what it comes down to no matter what. This card can be used in combination with Marcus, in combination with Headhunters. If you just get a couple hits here and there, or random things like you put Mr. Hankey onto the field, it's walking towards the new kid, and then you lightning bolt, you Unholy Combust whatever your opponent puts on the field, and Hankey gets 1 hit, boom, all of a sudden you've got so much of your energy decreased that over the course of a 3-minute match, all they have to do is spawn Incan Craig 3 times and they immediately win the game, while at the same time they constantly play nothing but defense. You don't need to even attack your opponent while this card is in your, while you have a high enough level Incan Craig. You just sit back and defend with Incan Craig and whatever other defending, and then at the last minute, lightning bolt, fireball directly on top of the new kid to finish off the chip damage, because you have no reason to care about energy investment at that point, right? So you play extremely defensive and constantly play Incan Craig. Not necessarily, you don't really need to run Marcus, but that just adds into that factor of pressure on your opponent. But yeah, just the value is constantly generated every single time. If played correctly, you can play Incan Craig like a potato. That is very possible. They did make it so the laser is thin enough that you have to actually have some skill. But if you have the skill, this card is extremely good, even after getting nerfed. And our number 1 card in the game is gonna be Satan. Satan, sitting at 20, or is a 6 cost ranged unit with 2,528 health, 132 attack, the 2.5 range with a war cry. Deal 719 damage to the surrounding enemies and allies with Hellfire. Biggest downfall being he hits your own units. Another downfall being if your opponent is running Unholy Combustion. The only counter to this card in the game, the only counter is Unholy Combustion. You can hit him as soon as he spawns before he uses his ability, but there's a very small window, so he could easily still use his ability, kill all your units, and then you get rid of him, even though it was a 1 energy advantage trade. By killing all of your units, they end up in a positive trade more than likely, just because you had to use UC in that situation. He used to have more health. He used to have more attack. I think. I don't think they nerfed the war cry. It seems like the war cry was still the same. So even after he's been nerfed, this card is extremely powerful, extremely deadly. Not everybody has the skill or the card in deck to be able to counter him, and he's like easy mode, literally easy mode, and especially the higher level you have him, because he's gonna guarantee to finish off the units with his ability, and then he's a tank walking across the field. Doesn't even matter about his attack, really. He's a tank walking across the field. He's already got his value, so anything after spawning is pure value from this card. Whether they're using Dragon Slayer Red to get rid of him, or you just spawning units to fight him, he has enough health that he can still be supported to gain more value out of this card. So even though he doesn't attack the new kid directly, he's extremely defensive. There is very little ways to get around this card. You can still win against somebody using Satan, sure, but the card is consistently very good, and it's a neutral card, meaning that everybody in the game can play it if they have it at a high enough level for their rank. So that is going to be the number 1 card for South Park Phone Destroyer Legendary tier list. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank you all so very much for checking out the Haze Demon Show. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Anything and everything is appreciated. Let me know what you guys think about my tier list video. I know it is a little long, being almost 1 hour right now, but it is everything I gotta say about all these cards, and I figured, why would I want to only do half of the legendaries? Might as well do all of them and put them all in a video. That's gonna be it. Again, make sure to check out my other tier list videos. I should be starting working on a new tier list series for the top ranged assassins, fighters, spells, traps, and totems. I'm gonna put them in the same category, and then I know another one I can't remember at the moment, but anyway, I'm gonna work on those. Hopefully they'll get done quicker than this one. This actually took me a couple weeks because I just procrastinated the crap out of it. Still gonna take me a little while to get it done, but that's it. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to bring a towel. We'll see you on the flippity floppity. Peace out.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Join the Tau Nation and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship.